Good afternoon. Let me go ahead and call the special meeting of the Rio Grande City Gruya Independent School District to order. It is Tuesday, August 9th, 2022, and it is now 12 o'clock noon, and we are located at the Ringgold Elementary Library at Fort Ringgold, Rio Grande City, Texas. For purposes of determining a quorum, let me go ahead and take roll call. Mr. Elizardo Velasquez Jr.
Present.
Mr. John A. Pope IV. He is present through Zoom.
Present.
Thank you, Mr. Pope. Mrs. Darinda Escobar.
Present.
Mr. Noe Castillo.
Present.
Mr. Basilio D. Varela Jr.
Present.
Mr. J. Peña.
I'm present.
And myself, Eddie Ramirez, present. Let the minutes reflect that we do have a quorum. Section 2, Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Castillo, we help with the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Castillo. And before we get into any school business, we did have 2 additional family members that passed away since our last board meeting. One of them is Mr. Renee Ramirez. He served as a school bus driver for 30 years with the Transportation Department, most recently as a special needs bus driver. He was a member of the emergency evacuation instructor team for over 20 years and a special needs trainer where he would have trainings for our special needs driver and bus aides. To say that he will be missed or that his passionate, dedicated service and that he would be missed is a huge understatement. We also have Mr. Zenovio Garza. I believe he was a maintenance worker for 10 years as well. So there's 2 additional family members that we've lost since, and it's only fitting that we honor them and acknowledge their memory and their commitment to this district with a moment of silence. Thank you also very much. Section 3, reports and information. Item 1, public notice for applying for the ESSA federal grant funding. Do I have a motion or any that's reports, I'm sorry. We have Ms. Gonzalez reporting.
Good noonday, President of the Board, members of the Board, and Mr. Peña, Superintendent. It is by federal regulations that we provide public notice when we are applying for any federal grants. These are the same grants that we apply for every single year. Title I Part A, Title I Part C, Title II Part A, Title III Part A, and Title IV Part A. Each and every grant it provides money for staffing, for staff development, for supplies and materials, for clothing, and for other needs as far as training or what teachers need, like technology and other things like that. So all of these combined provide that. I did want to share the difference between last year and this year. As I mentioned last time, the grants, most of the grants went down. We had a total of $504,953 that we are going to miss this school year. That's how much we lost from last year to this year. The only grant that actually went up was Title I Part C, which is the migrant, and that one went up $109,070. So we are going to submit, with your permission, obviously, the grants application for all of these grants.
Just out of curiosity, is the reason they're going down is because we have less students than we did?
That is correct.
That's the only reason, correct?
Yes, sir.
It's not that they reduced it, it's that we have less students.
It's based on student enrollment.
Any further questions, discussion from Ms. Gonzalez? Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez. Section 4, action items. Number 1, consider and take possible action on travel request from Rio High School, 1 Gear Up facilitator, 1 student, 1 parent to attend the Region 1 ESC Gear Up Ivy League Quest Tour in Boston, Rhode Island, New York, and New Jersey on August 7th, 2022 through August 12th, 2022. Do I have a motion or any discussion on item number 1?
Mr. President, I move that we approve item 1 and 2 as presented in our board packet.
1 and 2?
Yes.
Okay, there's a motion by Mr. Varela to approve items 1 and 2. Do I have a second to that motion?
I second.
Second by Mrs. Escobar. Is there any discussion required on either of those items? There being none, all those in favor so signify by raising your right hand. Same sign, motion carries. Item number 3, consider and take possible action on pay request invoices number 1 from Gaganac Architects for wrestling facility natatorium for Gruya High School. Do I have a motion, any discussion on item 3?
Mr. President, I move that we approve item 3, 4, 5, and 6 as presented in the board packet because I think they involve the same thing.
That's correct. There's a motion by Mr. Varela to approve items 3 through 6. Is there a second to that motion? Second by Mr. Castillo. Any discussion required? There being none, all those in favor so signify by raising your right hand. Same sign, motion carries. Item number 7, consider and take possible action on budget amendment number 2023-1. Do I have any discussion or a motion on item 7?
Mr. President, I move that we approve item 7 as presented in the board packet with a little bit of discussion.
Okay. There's a motion by Mr. Varela. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that motion.
Second by Mr. Peña. You may proceed with discussion, Mr. Varela.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, this budget amendment is for the new fiscal year? Okay. We're moving where from where or where from where?
The first item under Budget Amendment 2023-1 is requested by Mrs. Patsy Ramirez for the Child Nutrition Program, and this is just to cover the products needed to run the program due to the rising market prices that we're facing. The next one, in the amount of $100,000, we're moving from the Workers' Comp Fund to the General Fund, and this is to cover any salaries and transfers for substitute stipends that will be given and approved for this school fiscal year. We also have another one in the amount of $291,298, and that is to cover the difference that we need to pay for the property and casualty insurance previously approved in the last board meeting. And we also have $11,200 being moved from the instructional function into the step development, and that is to cover a training for the mentor program allotment. And finally, the counseling department, headed by Mr. Solis, is asking to transfer $3,000 from the instructional function into the counseling function.
One question for Patsy. I read an article here about, or heard an article here about 3 or 4 weeks ago that they wanted to do away with free lunch or parts of the free lunch. I know that all of us here in this district have free lunch. Did that gain any traction or not traction, or where are we at with that?
Good afternoon, everybody. No, sir, that's not going to impact our program because we are a CEP district. That means that we participate in the community eligibility provision, and that really had to do with school districts that had implemented several different kinds of waivers and flexibilities in order to continue to provide meals at no charge to their kids that were not CEP.
But that doesn't apply to us?
That does not apply to our district, no, sir.
Okay. It kind of worried me there.
No, no,
Okay.
no, no, no. It doesn't apply to us. Thank you.
Any further discussion or questions? There being none, all those in favor, so signify by raising your right hand. Same sign, motion carries. Item number 8, consider and take possible action on requisitions of $5,000 and over. Do I have any motion or discussion on item number 8?
Mr. President, I move that we approve item 8 with the addendum that was just given to us.
Okay, there's a motion by Mr. Varela. Is there a second to that motion?
Good.
Second by Mrs.
If
Escobar.
if I may, Mr.
Mr. Guerra, go ahead, sir.
Ramirez. Good afternoon, Board President, members of the board, Superintendent, and everyone present. I do have the addendum that I presented to you all, and I also have 2 quotes that were given to us for this school year for safety that are for metal detectors that we will be needing for our district. So I was presented those. I don't know if we can add those as well.
Okay.
And
So
I can give you the
let me
amounts.
amend my motion to reflect what Chris is talking about. Can you give us a cost of those things, please?
We have one for Dana Safety Supply Incorporated, and it will be $23,285 with 20 cents. And then we have another one from Borregas Electric for $37,500, and we do have the 3 quotes, and these are the 2 vendors that came out with the lowest.
And they're going to do what? What is that going to do? What is that for?
If I may, Chris. Okay. Council is just recommending that maybe we discuss this in,
Okay. Okay,
executive
that's fine.
session, so we can give more
Can I mention
details.
some of this stuff?
'Cause it's
I
not
got you.
part of the requisitions, is it?
Well, and the only reason.
He
is-
has it there, sir.
Right.
Oh, okay.
And the only reason, because it involves safety, and if it has something is coming out, that's exempt from open session. And whatever it is that we're going to add to secure our children in our classrooms, it's better that we discuss that in executive
And
session.
I'm glad you said it, because there was things I wanted, or I thought would be good for the public to know that this is being purchased as part of these lists, but I think then we'll discuss in executive.
I guess what we're going to say today is that we're making our schools more secure than they were before, correct?
Yes, sir. That is the plan.
So Mike, I want to amend my motion to the two items that Chris just talked about.
Okay, there's an amended motion by Mr. Varela. Mrs. Escobar, you still want to second it? Second by Mrs. Escobar.
One last question. You took quotes and we got the lowest quote of all three, right?
We got 3 quotes, and yes, those are the ones with lower quotes.
Okay, there's a motion by Mr. Varela, a second by Mrs. Escobar. All those in favor so signify by raising your right hand. Same sign, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 9, consider and take possible action on travel requests for 3 district administrators and 1 project director coach to attend the end of the year 1 quarterly advisory council meeting for E3 Plus grant in Nashville, Tennessee on September 7th, 2022 through September 9th, 2022. Do I have a motion or any discussion on item number 9?
I move that we approve as item 9 as presented in our board packet.
There's a motion by Mr. Varela. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second that motion.
Second by Mr. Peña. Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor so signify by raising your right hand. Same sign, motion carries. Item number 10, consider take possible action, it just says mentor, possible action mentor program allotment training. I guess to approve mentor program allotment training. Do I have a motion, any discussion on item number 10?
I move that we approve item 10 as presented in our board packet with a little discussion.
Okay, there's a motion by Mr. Varela. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Castillo. You may proceed with discussion, Mr. Varela.
Yeah, what is,
Just that there's a correction, if you read on the background information in the administrative, it says mental, it's mentor allotment program.
Thank you.
This is being funded
That's
by.
why- that's why I stuttered.
That's
That's why I
why I
stuttered.
said,
Yeah.
this is being funded by TEA, and basically what it is, Dr. Salinas reached out to us to kind of establish a mentor program for first and second year teachers to see if there was a grant out there, and he said it, we found it, we applied. So basically what we're doing is providing mentorship. We have assigned a group of teachers that Ms. Benitez has been working with to be the mentors, and they will be receiving a stipend from this allotment in the tune of $500 to $750, $500 if they are the mentor for 1 teacher and $750 if they are the mentor for 2 teachers. And they will be providing not just instructional, but more of an SEL support to these new teachers. And we're going back and we're going to identify any that are second-year teachers, because the grant does allow for us to pick up 50 to 55 first or second-year teachers, and this is something that we're going to continue to apply for, because as long as we provide the service, the state reimburses us on a settle-up basis. So that's how we're going to move forward with that.
but it's no cost to the district? because
No
of the-
cost to the
okay,
district, no.
that's-
That's correct. Any further discussion? Questions for Mrs. Varela? Morris? All right, there being none, all those in favor, so there's a motion by Mr. Varela, it was seconded by Mr. Castillo. All those in favor, so signify by raising your right hand. Same sign, motion carries. Item 11, consider and take possible action on proposed 2022 through 2023 tutorial program. Is there any motion or discussion on item 11?
I move that we approve item 11 and 12 as presented in our board packet with a little discussion.
Right, there's a motion by Mr. Varela to approve items 11 and 12. Is there a second to that motion?
Seconded.
Second by Mr. Peña. You may proceed with discussion, Mr. Varela.
Yeah, just the only thing, we have funding for these programs?
Yes, we do.
And the funding's coming from the federal government or from?
We have different sources for this year's tutorial program. It's ESSER 3, SCE, Title I, Part C, which is Migrant, ESF, SAF, T-Class Decision 6, and T-Class Decision 11.
And when do the tutorials start?
September the 12th.
They're going to start immediately then?
That's right.
Okay. And they go through, I guess, right before testing, I guess?
Right before, yes, the first week of May or so,
And they-
depending on the program. Credit recovery and AP and TSI go a little bit into the month of May.
And they include what grades, ma'am?
3rd through 5th in the elementary, middle school, all the way to 12th grade.
Okay.
And of course, anything that's needed at the high school, which are the other programs, credit recovery, TSI, and AP.
Okay, so do we do TSI tutorials?
We do provide services, yes, sir.
It's really important. When do kids take TSI in their junior year? I know they can take it in the senior.
As early as 8th grade for those students that are at the early college. We do a summer bridge program with Ms. Gorena and her staff. They provide summer bridge, and those children are able to take it as early as 8th grade because they start with their dual enrollment right off the bat at the very beginning. But our regular traditional comprehensive high schools start in 9th grade.
Because
The
it-
sooner we can get them TSI ready, the sooner they can start taking
Because
dual
they
enrollment.
don't pass the TSI, they're gonna go to remedial classes in college, correct?
Correct. So we're starting that earlier now that we have a CCMR director. They're actually tracking those children to make sure that we're not waiting till senior year for them to get that TSI out of the way. We're starting a lot earlier now, so.
That's good. Mr. Alfonso Peña, is this where the federal programs department went out and got an
Yes, sir.
additional?
We had only a million from
Right.
ESSER funds. So Ms. Gonzalez went back, we asked them to go back and discuss it with Ms. Morris and see where they can find additional funding, because we wanted more students to be serviced through this. In addition to this, we also have the early childhood, the after-school program. So that's also for the lower grades. So we're looking at it, it used to be like babysitting, but now it's going to be more of a tutorial and enhancement, enrichment type of a program.
Previously, last year was the after-school enrichment, and the year before Beyond the Bell.
Right.
So we service pre-K 3 all the way to, pre-K all the way to 5th grade. And it's every day, Monday through Friday, from the time that they're released till 5:30. They will have time to do homework, and then they will be working on supplemental programs throughout that period of time till the students get picked up.
Just want to congratulate you on going out there and getting the extra monies in order to do this. I think it's very important. So kudos to everybody involved with getting the extra funding, the extra source. Any other discussion on items 11 or 12? There being none, all those in favor, so signify by raising your right hand. I'm missing Mr. Pope. Did we lose Mr. Pope?
He's got a lag.
I think we might have lost it. We lost him, right? Technical difficulties? Okay, do we still vote? Okay,
Let me see if I get them on the phone.
right. Sure, yes, of course. Doing the best we can with what we understood. Thank you so much. Mr. Pope. All right. Take the vote. Okay, it was a motion by Mr. Varela, it was seconded by Mr. Peña. All those in favor, so signify by raising your right hand. 6 votes, and then Mr. Peña's out of bandwidth. Mr. Pope, can you hear us? I'm sorry.
Yes, I can hear you.
Did you hear that?
Trouble the reception in this area.
All right, were you able to hear enough of the discussions on item 11 and 12 to vote on them? You're still breaking up.
I will just abstain from that vote.
Okay. Okay, so 6 votes in favor with 1 abstention by Mr. Pope. Motion passes. Item 13, consider and take possible action on replacement of chain link fence and gates at the RGCGISD Joe R. Sanchez Stadium, Bond Series 2021. Do I have a motion or any discussion on item 13?
Mr. President, I move that we approve item 13 with a little discussion.
Okay, there's a motion by Mr. Varela. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Second by Mr. Castillo. You may proceed with discussion, Mr. Varela.
Just real quickly, did we get 3 quotes on this, sir?
Yes, sir. We got 3 quotes. In addition to that, I also got 3 proposals from buy-board companies, which ended up being more expensive. So we found out that by separating the materials and the labor, we ended up saving from $6,000 from the lowest buy-board quote.
As long as we got 3 quotes, not a problem.
Yes, sir.
You beat me to it. I want to say you divided it.
Right.
into 2 parts.
Separate the
But
labor and the.
but we got 3 quotes for the materials and 3 quotes for the labor, correct?
Yes, sir. The cheapest quote or the lowest quote for the buy-board company was at $74,500, and by separating the materials and the labor from the local contractors, we ended up with $68,520.
And the fence is going to be
It's going
how
to be
tall?
replacing all the inside perimeter by the track around the stadium. It's right now currently it's a 4-foot fence, and some of it is already falling. It's in bad shape, so we're going to replace it all with 8-foot fence, put some cross fencing for security and for safety of our students and crowd control as well, and replace some of the old gates as well.
Now that I got you here, sir, how are we doing with the sewer line?
It's still on standby. We're waiting for Mr. Falcon to start on that project, but so we got a plan B, like we did at graduation. We're gonna have Mr. Luis Falcon with his truck be on standby to, I guess, suction all the water out during football games. So we'll go to plan B, just like in graduation.
Is there any further discussion, questions for Mr. Ramirez? There being none, all those in favor so signify by raising your right hand. Same sign, motion carries. Item 14, consider and take possible action on renewal of Curative Incorporated COVID-19 testing agreement. Do I have any motion or discussion on item 14?
Mr. President, I move that we approve item 14 and 15 and present it in a board packet.
There's a motion by Mr. Varela to approve items 14 and 15. Is there a second to that motion? Second by Mrs. Escobar. Is there any discussion required on either item?
Just real quickly, on Alberto and Celia Barrera Elementary, we're redesigning the entrance because?
Mr. Board President, members of the board, Mr. Peña, Superintendent, what we're looking at Alberto and Celia Barrera, there's two issues. There at the main entrance of the building, where the atrium is at, one of the issues is every time it rains, we have water leaks on both sides of the hallway, and being that is a main entrance, and really the entrance where our parents come in, that's a main concern. The second concern is the heat. We have window panels all around, and as you know, most of the time it is very hot, so we have issues with the heat there in that area of the building.
How about security issues? Anything there? I heard something about 2 entrances versus 1 entrance or things of that nature, or not?
No, we don't have a security issue. It is one entrance. There is 2 hallways. Really, the security concern was that there was some, they might have put some posters up on one side of the hallway and you couldn't see to the other side. But that's a simple solution. They're going to take them down. So that's what we're looking at. We're looking at different options as to how we can, take care of those 2 concerns, the water leaks and the heat.
Any further discussion on either items 14 or 15?
Just on item 15, legal
Sure.
review of the contract. Maybe we could approve subject to legal review?
This one, sir, I'm just asking permission to get the engineer to start designing and looking at the problem and give us recommendations. Then we bring it back to the board on the recommendations. So we're going to bring it
It's an
back.
engineering contract, right?
Right, and that is also, again, we're trying to go back to 6%, and this is at 6%.
Got it.
I mean, that's one of the main things. It's when we bid out the work that I look at the contract. But our architects and engineers, we pretty much have gotten down to a standard contract. But then when we do the work, that's separate. That's one that I look at a little bit closer.
Yeah, I recall this one. Okay.
Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor so signify by raising your right hand. Same sign, motion carries. Item 16, consider and take possible action on amending the original RGCGISD Performing Arts Center design. Do I have a motion or any discussion on item 16? I know Mrs. Warren is here to answer any questions we may have.
Mr. President, I move that we approve items 16, 17, and 18 as presented in our board packet with some discussion.
There's a motion by Mr. Varela to approve items 16, 17, and 18. Is there a second to that motion?
Seconded.
Second by Mr. Peña. You may proceed with discussion, Mr. Varela.
It says amending, what are we amending?
Good afternoon, honorable members of the board, Dr. Peña, Superintendent, and very valuable support staff. We have been presented with a wonderful challenge. It appears that we might be able to go after some additional funds to provide a second design, an additional design to provide a fly above the stage. What does this fly mean? It allows you to have theater productions that allows you to bring down some of those backdrops and change the scenery as you change the scenes. Because we have a very tight budget, and we do have a limitation with a minimum of 900 seats, that our budget is very, stretched tight. We were challenged with the option, can you please design an alternate? And I said, yes, it's practically doing two designs because it does involve two types of structure. We're gonna have to reinforce that portion of the building above the stage to a greater height. We have to cool that space. We have to make sure that we have added fire suppression to meet those height requirements above the stage. Different type of lighting. I mean, there's all kinds of things that are involved that really exceed over 2,000 hours in work. So I did tell them, look, respectfully, I'll negotiate and push my consultants to not be near the 9% because I will not take it. I'm down to 7%, but I will meet you at the challenge at 6%, sir. We are partners with you, and I'm truly inspired. And you already approved this. Obviously, I'm not doing this seeking any approval. I've been inspired about the efforts that all the support staff are doing in providing for the kids. The Warren Group commits $4,000 towards materials for the teachers to be able to continue and do things. I do know from firsthand, and having friends who are professors or teachers, that they pull out of their own pockets to be able to supplement the very much needed tools to teach. So again, it has nothing to do with this additional thing. The Warren Group does things like this, and you guys are very deserving. So we'll bring the check tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
If I may, Mr.
Yes, Mr. Peña, go ahead.
Well, on behalf of our school district, our students, our staff, our school board of trustees, we appreciate everything you've done, working hand in hand with us with this endeavor. It's a huge project coming up, as some of you can see up on the screen. It's a beautiful facility, something that we don't have in our district, something that we have to go and rent facilities for our fine arts, for our students to go record. This will be a state-of-the-art facility that our students will not have to go to Harlingen or further to do any recordings. We'll have the state-of-the-art facilities for our students here. So we're very excited. Today, on the redesign, we just want to add this flight. Don't know how many facilities do have it, but without this, we're not going to be able to bring in any type of Broadway shows or any type of other,
There's only
productions.
two that have it right now. Well, three. One in Brownsville at the university, UTRGV, and the McAllen Performing Arts Center. So you'll be, I believe, the only one school district that has a theater of this type.
And Mr. Peña, funding for,
Okay, sir, I don't know if publicly we can say it, but Mr. Ramirez, you want?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of times you have to go out and talk to our federal representatives, our state representatives. You start seeing that they give funding and monies to other universities, other causes. And when it's for our kids, we don't stop anywhere. So we've been meeting. I don't want to say names with them, but we're meeting with the representatives, and we're getting strong commitments. So hopefully they pan through, and it's all for this cause. So I mean, it's looking good. But until we get there, I don't want to make it official, just quite. And I'll take your 4, but I'll challenge you to make it 10.
And to go 5%.
Done?
I'll give you 10,000.
Love it.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
So
that's
I'd
where it's
just
coming
like
from.
to add, Mr. President, that we're asking the board to redesign it, right? So once we bid it out, we're going to ask for the flight to be an alternate. This way, if it comes way out of the budget, well, we're not saying today we're doing it. We're just asking permission to design it. Because if we wait and we do get the federal additional funds that we're asking for, right now is a perfect time to design. If we wait too long.
6% is only of the portion of the building, so by all means, it's like doing two projects, but of that portion of the building. So I did reiterate to my consultants, the rest of the project, the seating areas, the support spaces stays the same. I will only allow additional services for what actually additional services are. So you will get two projects in one.
so let me ask real quickly, what is the price of that extra redesign? More or
I
less.
asked our theater consultants, Schuler Shook, and right now they said to add $2.5 million. It is very expensive. It was, they were cost prohibitive otherwise.
No, but I'm saying okay, I understand the price.
Oh, right now, without the fly, it's at around $13 million, and please, this is not a hard bid. We're monitoring what the costs are coming in for similar facilities. And we cannot control the economy. It's not just COVID, it's
I guess what I'm asking, ma'am, is
USMCA.
what is
Yeah.
the price? Forget about, I understand the price of making, no, just the redesign, the architectural fees for redesigning.
Oh, so it's 6% of the 2.5 million.
So in other words, to redesign it, we
It's
have
about 160, 150.
to
yeah.
redesign it?
Yes.
Okay.
It's to add the additional design. We're moving
Right.
forward now with no fly, and then we're gonna add sheets to the project, like an appendix saying, provide us a separate cost to do it this other way. So you have a shopping list. You can go with the base bid, or you can go with the alternate.
The only thing I worry about, ma'am, is that if it's gonna cost us, let's say, 120,000 to redesign it.
Yes.
Before we even redesign it, we have to, I think, make sure that we're gonna get the money, because otherwise,
sir.
if we don't get the money, we've actually burnt $120,000.
Of course, no, and I completely understand. So then, right now, we're proceeding as our contract with the no-fly. And then, once you choose and you say, you know what, it's looking like we're gonna get this, we'll be happy to wait on that. We're here to serve you. It's a service, and we want you to think of us for future projects, so.
Now,
we're
if
here.
they came back and said, here's the money, more glory to us, basically, but I don't want to
Yes, sir.
also get caught that we redesigned something, cost us a 120, 150, and by the way, we didn't get the money, so we put 150.
It makes business sense. We have to run things now as business, so we completely understand. We'll be ready when you're ready.
All I'm just want to make sure that we don't redesign it till we get the money first. Let's not put the cart before the horse.
Completely understand.
It's
Let us know.
it's permission to go once you get the green light.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Wu. All right, any discussion, that was item 16, any discussion on item 17 and 18? I believe we have Mr., is it Mojica?
Just how are the nanatoriums coming along?
You're about to see. You're about to see. All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Mr. President, members of the board, Mr. Peña, staff, audience. My name is Juan Mujica Jr. I'm with Janac Architects, and so there is a presentation. Oh, I have the thing. All right. Right, so I'm learning this part. Okay, so here you go. So the natatorium is coming along, natatorium and wrestling facility.
Right.
It's coming along quite well, and as you know, it's Janac Architects in association with Delfino Garza, the design group as well. We have been meeting with Mr. Peña and your staff several times, and we've discussed a lot of some revisions. The last time I met with you, I actually presented the plan, if you saw. We modified it slightly since then, but then, since then, we've actually created a rendering, so now you have to see an actual building now, so that's what I'm about to show you. I think you're going to be excited with this, and so the floor plan does have a pool. It's a covered pool, and in Goodway High School, we're looking at 6 lanes, and at Rio Grande City High School, we're looking at 6 lanes base bid and 2 lanes as an alternate. Okay. Then we also have a wrestling facility in each campus, and both of these facilities will be sharing dressing rooms, lockers, offices. There's a classroom as well. There's a first aid kit, not first aid kit, first aid room in there as well. There's support areas for all this stuff. There'll be pool equipment. And the pool itself, you have 2 pools. You have a competition pool, and then you have a therapy educational pool as well. Okay? There will be bleachers also in the covered area, and we've oriented this in both campuses to take advantage of the environment. So we're going to take advantage of the southeasterly breezes that happen here throughout the valley, and then we're using the mass of the building to help us block some of the northern winds. That happens like twice a week or twice a year, but they do happen. And we're aware that your swim season happens during the wintertime. So we want to make sure that we make this as pleasable as possible, an environment not just for the athletes and the coaches, but for the parents that are going to be watching as well. Yeah? So here we go. So we've got some renderings here. So there's what we are projecting the facility to be. It's a rather modern facility, as you can tell, but it is also very, very functional as well, and it'll serve the purpose of the program that we develop ourselves with your staff all along. See? So this is an exterior, sorry, I have to do this. So we have an exterior view. This is basically, they're pointing here. Oh, there it was. So in the front, we have this metal fences that are able to enclose and open up. So for security purposes, we'll be able to do that. There is a breeze. It's a breezeway that you come into. And so as you come in, as you go from the plan, as you come in, there's this breezeway. You can either go to the right side to the pool, or you can go to the left side to the wrestling facility. And there's shared community restrooms for both male and females that are accessible from both areas. And you can also secure the area. So if you're only using the pool, you have restrooms, and there's no need for the public to go into the wrestling facility. And conversely, if you're using the wrestling facility, there's access to those restrooms as well, but no need to get into the pool side as well. There'll be an entrance to the wrestling facility as well. So again, the whole point is to make both of these facilities independent of each other, but also sharing some spaces, which means saving some dollars for you guys. Now we have some interiors of this. This is a close-up of the entry, as you can see. So as you can see the fence there, those fences slide in and out. At nighttime, you're able to enclose those, and then you're secure as well. Yes, sir. Oh. I don't karaoke, so I don't know how to do this. All right. Oh, wow. That's better. Okay. All right. Thank you. Sorry, guys. You guys can't see it, so I apologize for that. Okay, so now we're moving in. This is as you're walking into the facility, to the breezeway. As you can see on the left-hand side, there's going to be basically a bulletin board. They have the events that are going on, their schedule, and that sort of stuff that can happen. As you're coming in, and voila, there's your pool. And so it's a covered pool. Again, both pools are there, both undercover. And then from what you see here on the to far right, that's where the breezes come through, and that's where the bleachers are. And so you're able to, if you're sitting down, you're undercover, but you get the breezes too. And we know what a cool breeze does in Rio Grande City temperatures in the sun. Okay. We do have the structures that go up, and our goal here is to utilize the facades and the structures to give you identity there, that your school can have some logos there, they can have images of athletes, they can have records, they can have any number of stuff that your coaching or your athletics department wants to showcase at that point. This is an interior shot looking back you're looking towards, what you see that the triangular there, that's a scoreboard. It's a digital scoreboard. So if you're in the audience, you're able to see the rankings, you'll see what's going on, you see who's ranking where. But you can see it's all open air. Okay? And again, this is part of the cost savings that we discussed about early on. Here's another view. The digital scoreboard is to your left side. And to the building beyond you, that's the actual offices, there's the locker rooms and all this stuff. But you can see how open it is and all this thing. So come winter, come summer, come whatever it is, when you guys are using this, it's going to be open air and I think it's going to feel very, very comfortable and very welcoming and very safe. Here's an image that shows you location of the bleachers. There's some plant life that we're trying to do there to kind of make it a little bit more livable, a little friendlier. But you see you have quite an open view of both pools in the event that both pools are being utilized at the same time. So if you're a parent and you have a small child, we're able to see that child the whole time. It's another view. If I'm a parent and I'm looking at both pools, what I just told you, you're able to see that whole thing there. Okay. Now I'm inside the building here, and this is the corridor that takes me to the wrestling facility. To the left-hand side, those are the two public restrooms. But you can see the amount of daylight that we're bringing in, because again, safety, the more you can see, the safer one feels, and it's also easier to monitor as well. So this is the wrestling facility that we're looking at. And I just spoke with your director here a little while. So we're looking at having like an LVT flooring to make it look like a hardwood floor. Those mats can be removable, and in essence, by virtue of doing that, now this space becomes a multi-purpose, which is added benefit, added dollars to you guys as well. But it's large enough to have two 40 by 40 mats as well. And there's bleachers on the long side. As you can see, we're introducing a lot of daylight as well. This faces north, so we're minimizing any direct sunlight into the facility. But we want to bring as much daylight in there as well. It's sized proportionally to the height so that you don't feel encroached and it doesn't feel too high either. Okay? And from this wrestling facility, as you can see, parents, fans, and stay and look at the athletes as they compete. And there's also what we're doing here on the other side, the solid walls, we're going to add mirrors. The plan is to add mirrors, so it makes the place feel even bigger. Okay? With the amount of daylight, with the mirrors, and all the space, we believe that's going to make it feel a little safer, a little bigger as well. Here's a better image that kind of gives you all that I just told you. The mirrors, the windows, and you can see where that gentleman is in the corner over there. There's also an extra door, set of doors you can actually come into the wrestling facility directly without having to meander all about. So that was part of the thing that we talked about as well. This is from the wrestling facility going into the locker dressing room area. This is where the students go in there and coaches only. For the public, they would go further right and into the restrooms. What we were trying to do in the plan is to separate all the student athletes from the public. So we want the public to have access to the restrooms to come in and out as they need to, but not have to congregate with any of the athletes as they're going in there. Okay? All right. This is the view of the lockers, and the ladies doing it into some showers. So we have some vanity showers there. We have quite a bit of showers there, both male and female. So they each have their vanity. They have maybe to enclosure for privacy and security issues. Plenty of lockers as well. And you can see the daylight in there. So again, the whole point is we're trying to introduce daylight into every space to make this feel as open as possible and as safe as possible. Another view from the locker area. You can see how open it is. And again, this is shared by both the wrestling side and the pool side as well. And this is where the cost savings were. This is the view of the swimming coach. So the plan is for that coach to have direct view of the pools at all times, while there's students there and while there's no students there. Again, it's a security measure, but they need visibility so they can monitor the action that's going on. And it's the same for the wrestling coach as well. But there's an inside view from within the coach's office looking out towards the pool. Another view, the same. Well, that was La Grulla. So the Rio Grande City, for the most part, it has a lot of the same elements. Again, those vertical columns, those are the places that we think on the pool side they were able to utilize. So each school has its own character, has its own pride, its own sense of place for themselves they can actually carry it from. So the same kind of views, the same floor. So on the floor here, along the pool, there's something called Cool Deck. It's a non-slippery floor. It's not concrete. And so safety is a big thing. Obviously, we expect some parents will come with tennis shoes, some of them with high heels even. So we just got to make sure, because we do need to have a trench drain around for the water to come in there. So we just need to be careful that to monitor people with heels. But the one thing we want to make sure is that nobody slips and falls. And so this Cool Deck material, it's basically the precast like concrete, but it's got granules on it. And then it has any kind of color, which is what you see here. You can have a pattern. You can have any sort of stuff on there as well. Another view, looking at the bleachers. And a lot of it is the same thing, but, well, that's pretty much it. So I think I gave you the story. If there's any questions, if I misinformed you or something, I'll be happy to try to answer that.
It looks wonderful, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Did a good job.
Thank you. Again, that was in cooperation, a lot of coordination with your staff that came about, sir.
Here comes $1 million question. When do you think you can finish it?
So
I know right now it's planning, more or less. And I mean, when do you think the facilities will be ready? And I mean, a year and a half from now, 2 years?
The facility itself?
Yeah.
The facility itself, we project it's going to take between 14 and 16 months to construct per site. So assuming that you awarded as one project to a single contractor and they're able to work on both facilities, each should take no more than 16 months.
And when do you predict will you start?
Right now, I'm projecting from our side, I think we need at least another 3.5 months to finish our CDs, and then construction can begin. It's going to be about a month's time for the bidding process for you guys to do, to advertise, to receive bids, have the pre-bid conference, and that sort of stuff. And then to actually evaluate the ring, and then you guys award the contract.
So 3 months from now would put us into November of first.
Right.
So basically, maybe for the following, not that school year, but the following school year, maybe by the summer of the following school year.
Yes, right. As a fresh start, you would say for the summer of '24, yes, sir. Yes.
Looks beautiful.
Yeah, thank you, sir. And I also want to point out that they're both on standalone sites. I mean, they're each within the high school property, but they're separate. So contractors should have access in and out without really disrupting anything else that's going on in the campus. So that should be of help. That should speed the construction time as well.
It's going to be the same plan for both, right?
Well, RGC High School has an alternate for 2 more lanes. Right.
Now, is there any, I guess just more of an opinionated answer here that I'm looking for, is there a benefit to starting them both at the same time or to one before? Or?
The economy of scale, yes, sir. There's a huge benefit to you guys. If you awarded this to a single contractor, that is one, it's just the economy of scale. They're both very palatable projects right now. There's a lot of construction going on, and Ms. Warren noted construction costs are so volatile right now. But what happens is that the more palatable projects get better attention, more attention. And this will be more competitive if you bid them together. If you bid them separately, they're still palatable, but not quite as much as both of them together.
Well, I would imagine as a contractor, you're bidding out, instead of bidding out 100, you bid out 200. Instead of bidding, I'm saying buying stuff, you can buy it in more bulk, and by buying it in more bulk,
That's exactly
you
right.
get it cheaper.
That's exactly right. And so you get better, again, the subcontractors get a better deal buying more.
Exactly.
And having more work with one guy. So it's more value to bid them together, yes.
Any other discussion, questions? No. Thank you, Mr. Mujica. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
All right. With no further discussion, it was a motion by Mr. Varela, it was seconded by Mr. Peña. All those in favor so signify by raising your right hand.
I'll abstain from item
Okay. All right, so with Mr. Castillo abstaining on item 16, the vote is 6-0. With that motion passing, or that item passing, and 17 and 18 is same sign, motion carries. The board will now, it is 12:46 p.m. The board will now convene a closed session in accordance with the Texas Open Meeting Act, Texas Government Code Sections 551.071 through 551.076, and 551.082 through 551.084. All right, we reconvene back in open session. It's section 6. Do I have a motion on item A?
Mr. President, I move that we approve item A, B, and C, and D as discussed in closed session.
Actually, Mr. Varela, just item D does not require any action.
Okay. Item A, C, and D as discussed in closed session.
So there's a motion by Mr. Varela to approve items A, B, and C. Is there a second to that motion?
A second to the motion as amended.
Okay, the second by Mr. Peña. All those in favor so signify by raising your right hand. Same sign, and Pope is not in the meeting anymore, so it's with a vote of 6-0, the motion passes. And we need some clarification or extra presentation by Mrs. Elsa Varela Morris. Okay.
Good afternoon, Board President, Mr. Peña, members of the board. What I am presenting to you is a document that I received from TEA. Is today Tuesday? Yes, yesterday. It is in reference to us being notified that because we got the SAF Cycle 5 grant, there is a discrepancy as far as how we received those funds. Last year, we had the ESF grant, which was a grant, and I shared the slide. It's a couple of pages only that I provided for you. If you look at the table, it says campuses impacted. We received a grant for $848,934, and that grant was a 2-year grant. However, we also had a planning grant for SAF, which is the School Action Fund, and we recently got notified, I want to say in June, that we would be receiving our SAF grant. However, because both grants are directly taken from Title I, school improvement, it's basically the same source of funds. And because it's the same source of funds that trickle down from the federal government to the state and the state down to us, we have to either rescind one grant to move forward or say we do not want to receive the new grant, which is the SAF Cycle 5. What TA provided for us is they provided them both side by side. So if you look at our SAF grant, And my response to them was, if I would have known, I would have spent all of the Title I ESF grant. But there's no way for you to know that you're going to get the continuation grant. Not all schools that engage in the planning grant like we did continue and receive the continuation grant. Now, if you look at the pros and the cons, of course, if you look as of June 30th, there's 644,000 still left in ESF. That grant impacts 5 campuses, which is the 2 on the east side that are already included in the SAF, and it also impacts Ringo Middle and Rio High and Veterans Middle. However, we have done a lot of work, so I have to stay in the middle and just be neutral and say, however, the SAF grant has also impacted the whole community of La Gruya. And the way that it has is that Gruya Elementary and Gruya Middle, when we applied for the planning grant, Ms. Ayala, myself, and Ms. Lupita Garza, we wrote the grant. We explained the dynamics of the community and how we felt that these funds would better prepare our students for academics. We wrote it as a pair, as these are the kids that come from Gruya Elementary, and these are the kids that are going into Gruya Middle. In order to qualify for ESF and SAF, of course, you need to be an improvement. So we were an improvement at the time. However, there was no way of us predicting that we would actually get the implementation grant. The implementation grant for SAF is $1 million. It's $500 for each campus, but it would only impact Gruya Middle and Gruya Elementary. So we would be receiving $1 million in the course of the next 2 years. The other grant impacting really 3 campuses, because if you think about it, Gruya Middle will be covered and Gruya Elementary will be covered because they're included in SAF, would have $644,000 that we would have to not forfeit, but say we're going to go this way or the other. So in speaking with, I met with Ms. Lupita Garza, I met with Ms. Idani Salinas and Ms. Ayala myself. We talked about it, we discussed the pros and cons, we shared the information with Mr. Peña. We need to make a decision by August 12th, which is Friday. In writing, I have to send something to TEA notifying them which grant we're going to move forward with, because we cannot continue to receive both grants. So, and the reason is they're both Title I, they're both school improvement. They basically come from the same source. So they can't do it because it's illegal to double dip. So they're basically letting us know they're going to get ready to send us the NOGA, but they need to know, are they sending me a new NOGA or am I keeping the NOGA for ESF? And that's where we're at. I don't know if anyone has any questions or if I can clarify something for you guys.
Board action?
It just requires notification. Mr. Peña has to make a decision. So I'm just presenting both sides, and my recommendation would be, like I told Mr. Peña, is that the Gruya community has invested a lot of time and a lot of effort in the planning grant. And like I said, not everybody that gets ESF necessarily gets the implementation for SAF. So looking at long-term, what would have the most impact, I would think that, yes, the monetary amount is more, but there's been a lot of legwork, there's been a lot of preparation that has been done, not only by the students of these 2 campuses, but by the community in general. They've had a lot of outreach to parents, they've done a lot of outreach to community members, and I would really hate to say, you know what, all of that work you did, we're just going to stop and we're going to continue with ESF. But I do have to notify them in writing so that I don't hold up the funds for the district, that we're proceeding with the SAF. That is my recommendation, and in meeting with Ms. Lupita Garza and Idani, who have been very, very instrumental and have been a big part of both projects, you know, every step of the way with our students and with our staff at both campuses, they agree that the SAF would probably have the most significant impact. And I think that would help our academics overall, because if you look at the schools that struggle, and that's why we brought Ms. Ayala, and she shared the data that needs a little bit of push is the data on the east side. Yes, we're on our way to progress. Yes, we're improving, but I do think that this is an opportunity that I would not want to take away from the students in the community of La Gruya. That is my opinion as a department, and that is what the consensus of the committee that met, and we shared those thoughts with Mr. Peña, but he just wanted me to share this with you all so that you would know, you know, what are the impacts and what are the pros and cons of both. And this was sent to me by TA, what I am providing for you. The only sheet that's local is the one that says the grant, that's how much we've drawn down. And there's probably a little bit more that we're going to draw down, probably like another 100,000 of expenses and salaries. So we would be returning about probably 500,000, but we would in turn be receiving $1 million for those other 2 campuses. So I don't know if anyone has any questions.
And that grant goes another year, right? That's still,
2 more years. It would be all this school year and all the following school year.
the SAF goes an additional year.
Yeah, so they would get 500,000 for 2 years. So basically, if they play their numbers correctly and they budget, they would have 250,000 for this year, 250,000 for next year, and that's basically to do staff development, tutorials, community outreach, activities for parents, because it's the whole picture, school-wide. It's a school-wide grant to improve not only the school but the community as well. So.
All right. Anybody have any other questions? Discussion? No?
I would
All right. Go ahead,
just
Ms.
like to
Cohen.
say, we, I guess, would leave it up to you, and that you are working out there, and to the discretion of the superintendent, to give us back the feedback, and I guess we trust in you all to do what's right for the different parts of our school districts. So,
It was more for informational
Yes.
purposes that
Yes,
they'll have to
yes.
make a decision. But I'm sure if you have any questions, you're going to talk to the board members individually.
sir.
Yeah,
Thank
just in
you.
case.
Thank you.
All right, thank you both so much. All right, I think that concludes the special board meeting. It is, the meeting is hereby adjourned. It is 2:01 p.m. Thank you all so very much. And then,
We're going to take 5 minutes?
let's
or-
take about, are you okay with taking a few minutes, just because we haven't? All right, and then we'll start with the safety committee meeting.